Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 o'clock in Lagos. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. Ghana Armed Forces suspends recruitment exercise as deadly stampede leaves 6 dead at El Wak Stadium.
The processes of the recruitment is not acceptable. They will need to be held accountable for this. It's a blunder on their part as part of the processes and the procedure.
Nigeria's Customs Service intercepts $20 million worth of cocaine shipment from Sierra Leone. Cap Media Niger demands release of detained journalists.
Le cadre d'action des professionnels des médias, Cap Media Niger.
The Media Professionals Action Framework wishes to express its deep concern regarding certain restrictions on press freedom.
Several young people on trial for a cyber fraud case in Cote d'Ivoire. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast this evening. We begin in Ghana, where the armed forces has suspended its ongoing recruitment exercise in Accra on the directives of President John Mahama following a deadly stampede at the El Wak Sports Stadium early Wednesday morning. At least 6 applicants have died and several others were injured after hundreds of hopeful recruits reportedly breached security barriers in a rush to enter the venue. The stampede has been attributed to a breach in security protocol. WADR's Accra correspondent Nadi Dititi reports.
The Ghana Armed Forces earlier on Wednesday temporarily suspended the 2025-2026 recruitment exercise at the El Wak Stadium in Accra following a tragic stampede that left 6 potential recruits dead and several others injured, some in critical condition. The suspension was on the back of a directive by President John Dramani Mahama for a full review of safety and crowd management protocols for the exercise. The president has since visited the victims receiving treatment and extended condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. Meanwhile, security analyst Samuel Appiah has questioned and criticized the military's approach to the recruitment exercise, arguing that poor planning and lack of crowd control contributed to the deadly stampede.
The Ghana Armed Forces is a security institution that's supposed to have intelligence as well. And they know that all of these people coming have already filled a form online. And some were disqualified at the early stage of filling the forms online. And so for them to say they did not anticipate this number of people, it means that it suggests that they did not have any team planning, review the processes of the recruitment. It's not acceptable. So they would need to be held accountable for this. It's a blunder on their part as part of the processes, the planning, and the procedure. These are human lives and human beings involved.
The incident occurred around 6:20 a.m. when an unexpected surge of applicants broke through security barriers, leading to chaos and panic at the entrance. Officials say the massive turnout also caused disruptions in internet connectivity, further compounding the confusion. The recruitment exercise is expected to resume on Thursday, November 13, for the Air Force, followed by the Navy on the 14th, that is Friday, and the Army on Saturday, the 15th of November 2025. For WEDR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Meanwhile, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau in Ghana has confirmed that a sudden and powerful downdraft caused the military helicopter crash that resulted in the deaths of 8 individuals. On Tuesday, November 11, 2025, investigator and retired pilot Captain Paul Fojo announced the final report at Jubilee House, concluding the technical phase of the inquiry. The report highlights rapidly changing weather conditions and unstable air over elevated terrain as the primary factors contributing to the tragic incident. In the Central Sahel region, particularly Niger, the Media Professionals Action Framework, known as CAP Media, is calling for the release of journalists arrested and detained for over a week now. According to the authorities, the detained media professionals have been prosecuted for offenses related to cybersecurity law. The Press Freedom Organization also expresses concern about the numerous restrictions on press freedom in the country. The Nigerian Media Professionals Action Network also demands greater representation of journalists within the institutions of the reform movement. Modi Musa, the coordinator of CAP Media Niger, speaks about the situation.
Le cadre d'action des professionnels des médias CAP Media Niger, de sa vive préoccupation.
The Media Professionals Action Framework, CAP Media Niger, which is to express its deep concern regarding certain restrictions on press freedom and other pressures and threats that could hinder the ability to objectively inform citizens. As a reminder, to date, at least 8 media professionals have been deprived of their freedom of expression for several months, some of whom have never even been brought before a judge to determine their fate. Our thoughts go out in particular to Saj Muturin of Canal 3 Niger Radio and Television, Ali Soumana, editor of the newspaper Le Courrier, Hamid Mahmoud, and Maman Bashir of Sahara FM Radio in Agadez. And just recently, Ibro Shebo of the Sarunia Press Group, Sariba Yusuf of the newspaper Echo du Niger, and Omaru Kane of the Strictly newspaper Le Horizon. When will this downward spiral, which discredits the reforms undertaken by the CNSP and the Foundation government, be firmly stopped? Calls for increased and meaningful representation of media professionals in the institutions of the refounding, including the Ministry of Communication, the National Observatory of Communication, the Advisory Councils of Refounding, as well as in future institutions.
Ainsi que dans les institutions à venir.
Modi Musa is the coordinator of CAP Media Niger. Meanwhile, Colonel Eric Dabiri, a senior officer in the Burkinabe Army and former commander of Burkina Faso's 3rd Military Region, has been named as the new commander of the United Force of the Sahel States Alliance as a new commander. Based in Niamey on the grounds of Air Base 101, formerly occupied by French forces of Operation Barkhane, the UFAES comprises 5,000 soldiers from the armies of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This joint force was established to strengthen regional military cooperation and improve operational coordination in the fight against armed terrorist groups operating in the Trap-Bouda region. Colonel Eric Dabiri, renowned for his strategic rigor and operational experience, will be tasked with bringing this shared ambition to fruition, ensuring the security and stability of the Sahel by the Sahel's own people. This marks a major symbolic and political turning point as Air Base 101, as a symbol of yesterday's foreign military presence, now becomes the headquarters of a sovereign Sahelan force.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We continue with more security matters and in the Sahel, this time in neighboring Mali, where the first edition of the International Defense and Security Exhibition, known as BAMEX, is currently taking place in the capital, Bamako. Approximately 30 Turkish companies are showcasing various types of weaponry at the exhibition park. The aim of the event is to enhance cooperation between Bamako and Ankara in the fields of defense, cybersecurity, and counter-terrorism. Abdullahi Hassan tells us more.
The first edition of the International Defense and Security Exhibition takes place amid a tense security situation characterized by an increase in JNIM attacks in Central Sahel region. In response to the situation, BAMEX aims to serve as a platform for uniting efforts to tackle terrorist threats in the Sahel. General Abdoulaye Maiga, Mali's Prime Minister, emphasized this sentiment.
The success of the existential struggle against terrorism now requires sincere anticipation, innovation, and strengthened cooperation. Faced with these many challenges, Africa has no choice but to build an autonomous security architecture based on cooperation and mutualization.
For 2 days, Approximately 30 Turkish manufacturers of modern armaments are showcasing their innovations in land, air and naval defense, as well as advancements in cybersecurity and electronic warfare at the Bamako Exhibition Park. General Sergio Camara, the Minister of Defense, stated that this exhibition represents a significant step toward enhancing regional cooperation in defense and security. He also praised the strengthening of military collaboration between Bamako and Ankara.
This event is a concrete proof that Mali is world frequent and intend to occupy its place on the international scene. Despite the long-stranded conspiracy and the current media cabal, Mali will survive. President Goita and Erdogan shared their vision of a world based on winning cooperation.
Of the equipment displayed.
Abdullahi Hassan with the details of Aliyu Cham's report from Bamako. From the Central Sahel, we head to Nigeria, where customs officials have handed over huge quantity of cocaine valued at $20 million to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. During a press conference at the command, Joe Anani, the customs area controller in charge, revealed that the contraband was discovered in an empty container that had arrived from Sierra Leone. He emphasized that preliminary investigations based on the container's movement history obtained from the terminal operator revealed 50 packages. In total, 1,000 kilograms, which equivalent to 1 metric ton of cocaine, were seized, with an estimated duty paid value at 29 billion naira, approximately $20 million. Here is Joe Anani speaking.
39 of these containers were brought into the country empty for export use. It was during washing and disinfectancy that they find out all these packages in the container. This is the first time we are coming across such a seizure, and I assure you that this probably will be the last time, because for PTML, it's a no-go area for drug trafficking. The Nigerian Customs Service and other sister agencies in PTML Command will never leave any stone unturned. We will be doing our work diligently to ensure that if there's anything of such again, it will be unraveled.
Joe Anani is a custom area controller in Nigeria. Similarly, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency destroyed over $40 million Liberian dollars worth of confiscated drugs on Tuesday. Authorities announced that 178 suspected drug traffickers and dealers are facing charges in connection with these seizures. The drug destruction, described as a routine operation by the LDEA, involved narcotics confiscated during enforcement actions conducted between September and October across Liberia's 15 subdivisions. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The seized substances, which included 395 grains of cocaine, 147.6 grains of heroin, 5,129 grains of crude, 4,123 grains of marijuana, and 111,378 tramadol pills. Speaking at the Brainy site, LDEA officer in charge Fejeriat Biako emphasized that these confiscations resulted from a collaborative effort among security agencies.
We have made our commitment to the Liberian people. As we stand today, someone always say that the generation after all will be better. I from the school was taught that if we don't lay the foundation for the generation after all to be better, we don't expect the angels from heaven time to make the generation after all to be better. We have to lay the ground rules. There's a time to serve. There's now a time to merry-make. There should not be a celebration for the LDA. There should be a beginning of a new day, because we should not have that kind of situations where we burning thousands of bags of drugs. It should be prevented even beyond our borders.
Health Minister Louis Sokpoto lauded the LDA's effort and pledged the support of a multi-sectorial task force on drugs and substance abuse.
The committee on drugs and substance abuse is a sectorial committee. We want to reconfirm our commitment to the LDA.
Meanwhile, the suspects range in age from 18 to 70, comprising 55 females and 123 males. Among them are 113 Liberians, 17 Guineans, 1 Nigerian, 6 Ivorians, and 3 Sierra Leoneans. For Newslink on WADR, April Parker, Monrovia.
You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Ghana Armed Forces suspends recruitment exercise as deadly stampede leaves 6 dead at Elwak Stadium. Nigeria's Customs Service intercepts $20 million worth of cocaine shipment from Sierra Leone. Cap Media Niger demands release of detained journalists. Still ahead in the news, several young people on trial for OSIWA fraud case in Cote d'Ivoire. We also have guest interview and sports news, so please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now focus on politics. First, in Benin, where the opposition Democrats Party has announced plans to challenge the rejection of its candidacy by the Autonomous Electoral Commission, SINA, for the upcoming municipal elections. Though in a press conference, the party denounced a deliberate maneuver to exclude aid from the electoral process. The political party of former President Boni Yayi vows to challenge its rejection by the Electoral Commission through all legal avenues available. Christopher Aticho tells us more.
The Democrats' National Secretary General for Communication, Gemi Tokbe, read the party statement. He announced that the political party had submitted nearly 29,000 documents to cover all 546 districts of Benin. However, only 473 of the party's cases have been challenged, a number significantly lower than that of other political parties.
We have founded 3,630 positions for the 546 districts of the country. Let this be clear to everyone. We have 546 districts per year under the administration of this municipality, and these 546 districts provide 3,630 positions specifically to support them. And we are the ones who made this happen.
Additionally, the Democrats claimed to have encountered what they described as unjustified administrative obstacles. They report that some of their candidates were unable to obtain necessary documents such as tax clearance certificate and certificate of nationality. The opposition party also reported instances of intimidation and arrest of its members, which they view as attempts to silence dissent. In response to the recent invalidation decision, the political party of former President Boni Yayi has announced its intention to strongly contest the decision of the National Autonomous Electoral Commission, SENA, while the party calls on the international community to closely monitor the progress of the electoral process in Benin.
A report from WADR's correspondent Aziz Adam Sule in Cotonou, voiced by Christopher Aticho. Crossing over to Cote d'Ivoire, where several young people are facing charges in a large-scale cyber fraud case estimated at over 1 billion CFA francs. They are being prosecuted for unauthorized access to computer systems, conspiracy to commit cyber crimes, and identity theft. The accused individuals appeared in court on Tuesday. Imo Edit reports.
In total, 6 young people aged between 20 and 27 have been on trial in this case since the beginning of November. They were accused, among other things, of alleged criminal association and digital identity theft. The defendants categorically denied the charges against them and accused the police officers of forcing them to confess. On Tuesday, the court heard testimony from 2 officers of the National Agency for Information System Security, ANSI, who were in charge of the operation to dismantle the network. The case follows a referral from the Swiss justice system, which transmitted several elements of the investigation to the Ivorian authorities. Through a phone number and email address, investigators were able to locate the home of the suspected ringleader, where the 6 young men were caught in carrying on their operation. According to the investigation report, their modus operandi consisted of creating fake profiles on Facebook and on the marketplace platform with the aim of trapping online sellers and diverting their funds via PayPal. The public prosecutor has requested a 10-year prison sentence and a fine of 75 million CFA francs for each of them. Côte d'Ivoire, a civil party in the case, claimed 100 million CFA francs in damages per defendant, arguing that this affair seriously damages the country's image. However, the defense pleaded for leniency from the court, citing the youth and immaturity of the defendants. Before the closing argument, the defendants apologized and asked for forgiveness from the court. The verdict is expected on November 19, 2025.
Imo added with that report now to a story that speaks directly to the heart of Pan-Africanism, the dream of a borderless Africa. This Friday and Saturday, leaders, artists, journalists, and young influencers from across the continent will converge on Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the High-Level Influencers Forum on Borderless Africa, a landmark gathering aimed at accelerating the realization of a visa-free and integrated continent under Agenda 2063. Annie Rose Osamba, lead campaigns and advocacy officer at Africa Rising, explains the significance of the forum.
For us, this is not just a convening, but it's a space to reflect on the roles each one of us has to play when it comes to the ratification of free movement. And the significance of it is because it's happening such a critical and pivotal time where the world is remembering the day where African soul was stripped off and teared into pieces. And this is the November 15th on the Berlin Conference of 1885, where a few people sat down and decided the fate of Africa by dividing Africa and putting the colonial borders. And this is such an integral part of our work as Borderless Africa campaign, because this time around we are not just speaking to the policymakers as usual or civil society organization alone, but then we are also tapping into creative ways and as Africans on how best we can actually use our influential spaces and spheres of influence to actually talk about the agenda of the ratification. And for me, more than talking about the agenda, is also a moment of reflection in terms of our shared values, identities, and cultures.
Annie Rose Osamba is the lead for campaigns and advocacy at Africa Rising.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Let's take you back to Ghana, where the nation continues to reflect on the tragic military helicopter crash that claimed 8 lives. On Tuesday, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau concluded its inquiry, confirming that a sudden and powerful downdraft triggered by unstable weather conditions was responsible for the crash. To help us unpack the findings and understand what this means for aviation safety and explore how such tragedies can be prevented in the future, we are joined by Alhaji Ibad Ibrahim, an international security consultant.
First of all, as a security consultant to the Republic of Ghana, one of our sensitive state security institutions, I'm privy to the fact that over the course of time, the Ministry of Defense has made an argument for more expenditure on Ghana's defense, and that includes human resource and investment in equipment. And so to hold brief, for the Republic of Ghana, aviation accidents happen even in the most sophisticated countries. In the United States of America, recently we've seen a barrage of such accidents, Kobe Bryant and a host of others, including military aerial devices like helicopters, UAVs, and airplanes. So it is not unique to Ghana that there has been a force majeure, an act of nature coupled with some mechanical challenges leading to such a high-profile accident. But as a country, we are picking up the lessons. But one thing that is interesting is the fact that the investigation so far has not found any traces of foul play. And for me, that is significant.
Okay.
Because this accident happened at a time the top brass of the military were changed because of the change of government. So there were a lot of conspiracy theories.
A couple of recommendations have been pushed to the government, and in your response earlier, you talked about procurement in terms of modern equipment for the military and security of the country. How soon do you think these recommendations will be put into action?
Unfortunately, as a consultant working from across the political divide, our politicians are not quick enough to continue defense initiatives that have been bequeathed to them by the former government. So there are recommendations we make all the time on counterterrorism, the Accra Initiative, on aerial defense and all that. But unfortunately, because of how polarized the Republic of Ghana is, when a party hands over to a new political party, there's so much acrimony and that you wouldn't want to hand over learned lessons and expertise because you want the new party that has come to power to fail. That is the only way you come back to power in future. So unfortunately, that is the reality we've had to contend with as Ghanaians. But those of us who sit on the fence, who are forward-looking, who don't mind whose ox is God, and that we want the right things to be done, I believe there should be a bipartisan approach towards this. I've already said that there's no need for blame game. What are the lessons we need to learn? And again, another recommendation I am making is that in the Republic of Ghana, we have what we call, or what I call, the politics of gallery. We don't believe in the power of delegating. So when there is a project here or an event there, you would see high-profile people come from the capital to sometimes, far-off areas with rugged terrain and all that. And we are told that His Excellency the President was supposed to be on this particular flight. So you can imagine what would have happened if the President was on the flight. So I think going forward, especially on security-related matters like fighting against illegal mining and a host of other crimes, when there are events, we should allow the ministers in the various provinces and regions. That is why they are delegated. And when they are delegated, it means they represent the central government.
Do you think the recommendations and the lessons learned from this report and incident can also be applied to the general aviation across the country?
By and large, to be fair to the Republic of Ghana, our airspace has been one of the safest in West Africa and on the larger African continent. There are only rare cases. Historically, we have never experienced a crash of this nature. Whether military or commercial aircraft, sometimes there are emergency landing situations here and there. But for a crash to lead to such a high death toll, it's unprecedented in the history of the Republic of Ghana. So we would want to allay and assuage the fears of African counterparts and international partners that this is an isolated aviation accident and Ghana's airspace is open for business.
Alhaji Ibad Ibrahim is an international security consultant. In the world of sports, Nigeria's Super Eagles returned to the training ground this Wednesday evening as focus shifts firmly on Thursday's 2026 FIFA World Cup Africa playoff semi-final clash with the Panthers of Gabon. The pay dispute that reared its head and knocked off Tuesday's training session has been put to bed, and the players now look forward to putting Thursday's potentially explosive encounter out of the reach of the Gabonese and earn a place in Sunday's final. Those are the latest in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening. Many thanks to Fali Lusso and Wadr Ju for the technical support. I am Augustine Curley. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.